Before we talk about where we are, we must first remember from whence we came. Marty Schottenheimer brought winning football back to Kansas City and built what is now known as Chiefs Kingdom.
We transitioned from a team built on its defense in the 90s to one of the most dominant offenses and return men in NFL history, led by Dick Vermeil.
In 2012, a 2-14 Chiefs team displayed disastrous play on the field and turmoil off it. We asked to save our Chiefs, and in came Andy Reid, who immediately turned this franchise into a perennial playoff team.
Then, on April 27, 2017, the Chiefs broke free from their journeyman quarterback restraints and drafted Patrick LeVon Mahomes.
In 6 years with Patrick at the helm, we're back-to-back champs and a dynasty headed towards a three-peat. We are unrelenting for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the allies. Arrowhead allies.
How about it, boys and girls? It's time. All the fun of the off season's behind us, but we're going to have a little more fun today because we're out there hitting. The pads are on. The pads are popping at training camp all across the National Football League. But here on Arrowhead Allies, we've got to have a little fun here, and we got to really welcome our guest here this week, who is coming into a bit of a snake pit here. So God bless you for doing it, Josh Jacopetti. How are you doing, sir? Everybody knows who you are now.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends and people I know in Kansas already messaged me and saying they saw me online and all that kind of stuff. So it's been pretty funny the past couple of weeks doing that, and in the past week, all the stuff that's been going on.
Well, tell us how this started, how you started making this Kermit Mahomes puppet. And I know it's been at like the NFL draft. You're here in Kansas City, throwing it up to Kirk Herbstreit at College Game Day. It's been all over. Take us behind the scenes and tell us how this started.
Yeah, man. I just did it because I thought it was funny. I've been doing it for about 5-6 years. That's why people were like, oh, I did it for clout and things like that. I'm like, no, I've had it for quite some time. I took it to Kansas City pre-COVID, one of the games, and I took it back during COVID. And then after that, a lot of KC fans were reaching out to me like, hey, can you make it? Can you make a new one? And so pretty much every year I've been giving it away to Kansas City fans. Usually I like trade it for a beer or something. So there are a few KC fans that run around with it. Last year when I was in KC, somebody was super nice, bought me dinner, took me to their tailgate. And I was like, hey, do you want this? And they're like, yeah, of course. So I gave it to them.
I don't know if you thought this one all the way through, man. Thank you for joining the show. But with Patrick Mahomes seeing the video, like, what was your expectations? Did you think it was going to go all the way up to him? And if it did, was you like, okay, forget it, this is going to be nothing to him?
No. So like I said, I've been doing it for years. So I have pictures with AP with it, Max Crosby, other Raider players. I think what actually made it blow up is that he started mimicking it. And then obviously he took it on his own. Like, I didn't call him over for anything like that. I had no idea it was going to blow up like that. I've been taking this thing around for years. It's never popped off like that. It's kind of just a small thing. But the fact that he grabbed it and, said what he said, I think that's what elevated it. And, me and my buddy were sitting after camp. We're sitting eating dinner at the Players Hotel. And we just start getting all these messages from ESPN, TMZ, Sports Center. And we're like, all right, this is getting big. And we started seeing the retweets, and then we started seeing players' reactions to it. And then the next day they had the press conferences about it. I'm like, this went a little out of control. But at the same time, people know who I am. Like, I just started doing podcasts this year, but I get 1 to 2 million people on my page every month because of the things I do like this. I just go out there, I have a good time, I enjoy myself, and I kind of poke fun at myself and other teams, and I go to games and I have fun doing it. So, you've seen my posts, people have seen my page. Like, I'm not backing down from it. I still think it's funny as hell. And I had the booster clubs at KC already reach out to me. So I'm going to KC and they asked me to bring the doll. So I'm bringing it there this year. I already booked everything for Black Friday.
Shane?
You want a war? You want to go to war? You're going to get one. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Chiefs Kingdom, buddy. You said you've been here the last couple of years, and I'm going to take your word for it. You brought your Kermit with you, and you've had a good time. But now, what's happened recently, you have to remember what it can do to the people in Chiefs Kingdom. You got to know what drives Chiefs Kingdom. We had a guy wear a wolf outfit, come to every game, home and away. You know how he went to all those games? He was robbing banks.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
He was robbing banks all over the Midwest because he was driven. He was driven by his love for the Chiefs. And I'm going to be going on Amazon doing a documentary with him. It's going to be coming out in December, so watch out for that. His name was Chiefaholic. But this isn't about Chiefaholic. This is about you, all right? Now, it got all the way up to Andy Reid. He said to NFL Network just last week, we don't have puppets at camp. Patrick Mahomes said, we'll take care of that later on. Are you ready to feel the heat of Chiefs Kingdom coming down on you at your next appearance at Black Friday? Are you ready for the heat?
Well, here's the thing. My doll, puppet, whatever you're calling it, is going to have no impact on the game. I really don't. It may be bulletin board material. We're 10-2 against you guys, or excuse me, you're 10-2 against us in the past 6 years. You know, I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, it's going to have no impact on the game. And people that think it does, you know, probably haven't played sports at a high level. Most of the players don't really care about it. It was mainly Chiefs fans that were upset. And most people were like, hey, that's pretty funny. You're poking fun. Because we all seen on ESPN, like, people have made fun of him for looking like Kermit prior and sounding like him and Kenny Powers. They even did it at the Super Bowl. They asked him about his impression. He's like, I'm doing it. So he's heard this before. It's not something new. It got back to him and blowed up because a Raider player did it. But at the same time, like, we have 2 wins against you guys in the past 6 years. It's not going to change anything. And Raider fans and Chiefs fans that think that's going to do that, like, that's one of the things people follow me for. I'm very real about our team. It's not going to change anything, you know? And I think people see it as like, hey, it's pretty funny. There was no malicious intent behind it or anything like that. It was just me out there having fun. You know, I've never done anything bad with Kermit. So this is the first time that somebody's actually put words in his mouth. I'm like, oh, all right. I was like, that's different. We were laughing because we thought it was funny. And, you know, it was just good comedy. It's poking fun.
Lance, welcome on.
Yeah. How's it going? I don't even remember your name. I just wanted to put this out here real quick. Couple things I wanted to say first, and I was going to ask you a question because I'm really excited to have this conversation. First of all, I want to say you're welcome for Star K Media giving you extending your 15 seconds of fame. So you're welcome for that. Second of all, we want to thank you for being a part of what motivates Patrick Mahomes this year to have another season of dominating the Raiders, the AFC West, the AFC. I mean, the whole damn league as a whole. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. So there's like this nice common bond we have now already. I wanted to set that platitude there first. My question is, being a grown man with a fanny pack and a Kermit doll, and along with that mustache, I'd imagine it's difficult for you to get within 1,000 feet of a middle school. But was it difficult for you to become the embarrassment that you are, or is that just something that came naturally being a Raiders fan?
Are you jealous that it cost me $25 to get in your quarterback's mouth when he doesn't even know who you are? I'm just wondering. $25 is all it cost me. It's a good fun. I had fun doing it. I'm going to continue to have fun doing it. And if anybody has issues, like I've already had people say some outlandish things, I'm like, hey, this is where I'm sitting. Come say hi. That's all they have to do with me. I don't hide behind anything. I'm always out there doing this. I was doing it at the draft. Nobody had any issues when I was at the draft at KC, and it was full of Kansas City fans. I even got a picture of your boy, Travis Kelce, with the Mahomes doll, and he asked me not to publish it, and I was respectful about it. So I saw him at the bar and took a picture with him with that. But here's the thing, like, it's out having fun. And Mahomes is a generational talent. That's like I said, that's what makes me a little bit different. I recognize the real talent. I like watching him play. I hate watching him play against us because he's that good. But at the end of the day, you got to remember where you were prior and where you're going to be in the future. You know, prior the past 20 years, our teams were garbage. Let's be honest. Both of us were irrelevant until Patrick Mahomes came through. You guys had one ring. And when he's gone, it's going to be a downhill slide when Andy Reid retires. Because Andy Reid's one of the greatest coaches to ever walk in the football field. It's him and Belichick, you know. You just recognize real with that guy. But I just tell people, be humble about your team because they will fall off. It's going to happen. When Mahomes retires or the cap issues hit or Reid retires, there's going to be some real problems. And Patriots fans are the prime example of that right now. They hate life right now.
They've got Drake.
If you can't get along, let's get it on.
I'm trying to keep it PG. You know, I was told, hey,
Look
you
at
guys,
that Chiefs Raiders
I looked
rivalry.
you guys up. You know, you guys have credentials. I was like, all right, we'll keep it PG because I'm not known for keeping things PG.
Be you.
Oh, we know.
Just be you. Just
Yeah,
be
yeah.
you.
Josh, we love it. I'm someone that has fun with it. I love this kind of banter, and especially because this rivalry meant so much to all of us growing up. No matter what anybody wants to say, I respected the Raiders organization and the Shield. And George Atkinson's a dear friend of ours that comes on this show. I'm not going to pretend like the Chiefs have stood on this pedestal for my entire lifetime, because in the 90s we were there. You know, we talked. You had this shirt with Mahomes kissing the ref. I had to go to bed with that. I had to look at John Elway coming in, sticking the knife in our back time after time, not able to get there. Can't win a playoff game for 21 years. We've been there too. So I am someone I am understanding of this. And I think that the banter is great. And that's what's great for the league. I think that the league's gotten too soft and too nice. We're trading jerseys. We're smiling for pictures. I don't like it. I like the old AFL days, man, of Jack Tatum and George Atkinson going up against Len Dawson and Otis Taylor and the Chiefs. That to me is what football is all about.
Yeah, the rivalries are good. I think we all can agree on something. We all hate the Chargers and the Broncos. I think that's something the panel would agree on. They are just the worst. So, and the thing, the Broncos, ran their mouths, did a lot of that back in the early 2000s with Elway against everybody. And it's kind of transitioning to the Chargers were good, but they never did anything with it under Rivers. And now, the Chiefs are kind of running the field with the AFC West. It's going to be a very competitive year. So there's going to be a lot of banter back and forth. There's probably going to be some games that really surprise all of us going out there. But, it's all good fun. And I always tell everybody, 1000%, KC fans are probably some of the nicest people you meet. I've never had any issues going there. I've been there multiple times. Every time I go there, somebody's always feeding me or something like that, give me drinks in the tailgate. So, there is no animosity there towards fans. It's just, hey, this is my team. Got to represent them. Got to have fun. Go out there and, just run my mouth.
Yeah. I always wanted to always ask Raiders fans this or Broncos fans, Chargers fans, whatever, all three Chargers fans, by the way. The Raiders, to me, I'm a traditional Chiefs fan through and through, meaning that in the 90s, a lot of people thought that the Broncos were our number one rival, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and so forth. But me, I'm old school, traditional. Raiders have always been the number one hated team. There is absolutely unequivocally one uniform I will never, ever wear, and that is a Raiders jersey. But I think that's what makes this whole thing fun with us in the AFC West. But I want to know from a Raiders perspective, who is your number one op? I want you to rank who you hate the most in the NFL. Because for Chiefs fans like me, it's always Raiders, Broncos 1B, then Chargers are way down. But I hate the Cowboys way more than I hate the Chargers.
Everybody hates the Cowboys. That's
right. True.
But I want to know what's yours. What's your list on your most hated?
We were better in the past 15, 20 years. The problem is we haven't really had a rivalry besides the Broncos, because that's the only team we've been competitive for in the past 15 years against. And the Chargers is kind of iffy. So if the Raiders were better, their Chiefs rivalry would be a lot better. There is a lot of hatred there on both sides. But the problem is we're not a very good team. So we haven't had that rivalry. Hopefully we start to get that. I think Christmas Day was a prime example. So if we can both teams bring that energy, it's going to be a lot of fun the next 5 years. It's going to be a lot of fun. But for me,
what were you doing on Christmas?
I mean, we hit Mahomes in the face. I mean, you guys won the Super Bowl.
What were you literally doing?
He was at Arrowhead.
Were you at Arrowhead?
No, I got kids, man. My son was like, let's go. I'm like,
okay.
It's my birthday too, so I couldn't fly. I'm like, we can't fly in and out and leave, leave my daughter out.
Yeah. I mean, you could.
When I get back.
I could. I missed 2 games last year. I missed the Detroit game and I missed that game. There's only 2 games I didn't go to last year.
But go ahead and rank them.
Yeah, right now, Chargers. We hate Charger fans. They are the saltiest, angriest, bitterest people in the world. They have no rings. They've won nothing, and they act like they have. We hate Charger fans. Number 2 is the Broncos. The Broncos are the worst fan base in our division.
We're last.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the thing is, we haven't won anything. That's the problem. So the Broncos is because of their hatred and their anger. They will say things they shouldn't, outlandish things. They'll talk about your family, your kids, bring up your race. They are the absolute worst if you've ever been to Mile High. I hate going to that stadium. I get in and I get out because I tell people, I'm like, it's low key dangerous there for a Raider fan because people are looking for a fight and they will jump you. And I've seen it happen. So that's why we don't like Denver fans. KC fans have always been humble. They're nice. You know, you're starting to see people more. You guys are getting that Midwest nice, starting to get into that shit talking a little bit more because you're winning. So you're like, you know, you give that underhand and compliment, you know, like, hey, it was a rivalry, but you guys haven't done anything in a while. So, but, you know, if the Raiders start to play better, it's going to go back to one because that bad blood. And because Mahomes is the number one player in the NFL, he's the face offensively, and we have the face, you know, most likely defensively with Matt Crosby. It's going to be wild. If we're competitive, it's going to be a really good, like I said, 5 years.
Yeah.
The best thing that happened to the Kansas City Chiefs last year was the dominating Raiders win. I mean, I think every Chiefs fan who pays close attention would say that because it woke the Chiefs up. Yeah. So I applaud you for your Super Bowl on Christmas. It led the Chiefs to win the real Super Bowl. And, you know, I applaud you for coming on here. And we're diehards, man. We are diehards. I mean, I got this #1 Mahomes cup made for my daughters before he played a snap. Before he played
there he is. What's up?
I did bring up. Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. Well, like, you know, the Christmas game.
I commend you for that Raiders victory on Christmas. Thank you. Go ahead.
It did wake him up because you saw because Mahomes was so dominant into that point, and that was the first year he ever had any struggle. That's the thing. I watch every game. I watch every game on my phone. I record it. Like, I'm an NFL fanatic. I'm a diehard Raider fan, but I watch every team because of fantasy football, and I put some real money into it, so I pay attention. That was the first year Mahomes actually struggled, where he was the man, and he didn't have anybody else besides Kelsey. So, you know, I think that was a wake-up call for him, a wake-up call for Andy Reid. Like, we got to do something because teams are going to see this film. They're going to see how they beat him. And if the refs let him play a little rougher, he might have some real issues down the road because there's some real stifling defenses in the NFL with players better than the Raiders have. So I think it was a wake-up call. You guys drafted worthy, so we got another speed demon. I know trying to get, you know, Tyreek 2.0. But, yeah, I know football, man. But, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, I'm excited to go to the games this year to watch them play. You know, the past few years hasn't been fun. I've seen both of their wins, you know, one in person, one on TV in the past 6 years. So It's nice, you know, a little bit, but hopefully it's a little bit more competitive this year in the, you know, the AFC West.
Who's going to be the Raiders quarterback?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, Josh. The Raiders quarterback, who's that going to be? Is it going to be Aiden O'Connell? Is it going to be Gardner Minshew? And how can we make this more competitive? As we've seen, Marty Schottenheimer was 18-3 in his history against the Raiders here in Kansas City. Andy Reid now 18-4. And just to be fair on both sides, the Raiders did have their winning streaks. 2000, 2002, they won 6 out of 7 versus KC. 2010, 2012, 5 out of 6 versus KC. But how do we get this to be more competitive? What do the Raiders need to do? We've talked to George Atkinson for years. He's always hated your secondary.
Yep. Our problem is, you know, since Kelsey's come to the league, we're trying to buy people and draft people to cover him. We're like, okay, let's get this safety. We've had bust after bust after bust on safety. We finally kind of hit on Morig, but the problem is we're always drafting to beat Mahomes or be Mahomes and beat Kelsey. You can't do that. You need a defense. You are not going to outgun Patrick Mahomes, period. It's not going to happen. It's like trying to outgun Aaron Rodgers in his prime, Tom Brady in his prime. They're that level of elite. You're not going to do that. So the way you do that is with defense, with pressure and secondary. And that's the only way that you're going to knock Mahomes off that pedestal. So, you know, as far as quarterbacks, so I went to camp a few times, obviously. AOC is going to win that job. He looks like a quarterback. He's big, he's strong, he's getting faster in the pocket, and he's way more accurate, and he's pushing the ball down the field. You know, I saw him play in college. I love college football too, so I go to a lot of games. The problem with him is he's a statue. He has no lateral movement, so he has to develop that kind of hip swivel as a quarterback. If he does that, I think he'll be okay. But again, I see him as a bridge. He just needs to be serviceable. That's it. We got a top 10 defense. That's all he needs to be right now. You know, and we'll see where it goes with him.
Yep. You know, home games. Yeah, I got a little more. So we, you know, you get the home games at in Las Vegas. I imagine, you know, when you go to those games, that it's got to be a lot of fun to see, you know, 80% red, maybe 10% black and silver. Do you ever think about maybe buying a red and gold jersey to kind of fit in with the home crowd when you're at the games in Las Vegas, or do you want to stand out and wear black and silver still?
Well, I don't want to look like a human hot dog, so I'll never wear gold and red.
Okay.
I don't do glizzies. But
doubt
you know,
that.
for the most part, when that's one of the problems we have in Vegas. Let's be real, and I've been very outspoken about this. The problem is when the Raiders are losing, which has been the past 5-6 years. We hated McDaniels too. We wanted him gone after year one. The problem is Raider fans can turn their tickets for a profit, and a high profit at that. We're getting top dollar for our seats. So somebody that pays $150, $200 for the tickets can sit around and sell them for $1,000. That's how easy it is. And people want to travel to go. So like, I know people that just do that at will and are making $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a year just selling their seats. So it's a real problem. When we're winning at the beginning of the year, it's about 70-30, 80-20, depending on what team comes in. At the end of the year, if we're losing, the Niner game, the KC game, year before last was literally 80-20 in the opponent's favor. It was disgusting. Like, and that's when Mark Davis came out and was mad. It's like, well, if our ticket prices weren't so high on the resale market, you probably wouldn't have that issue.
Yeah.
But
And the personal seat licenses and those kind of things.
Yeah,
and the new stadium. I mean, it's it's tough. Josh, I got to be honest. I like you. I enjoyed this. I thank you so much for just taking a shot, coming in here, and what I consider a bit of a hornet's nest at times. Certainly.
Hold on, Clint, hold on. Josh,
That's not how we do it, though.
We appreciate you coming in, man.
It's off the rails,
We know it wasn't easy. We're having fun with you.
Yeah.
We're also, like they said, they're friends with George Atkinson, a former Raider. I'm good friends with Harvey Williams, a former Chiefs and Raiders
Thank
running
God.
back. And I want to say something about what they both said. George Atkinson and Harvey Williams said they feel John Gruden was wrongfully fired, and you know that was George Atkinson and Harvey Williams. They put it out there. They feel John Gruden was wrongfully fired. How do you feel about that, Josh?
I would say wrongfully fired, but it would have happened in a year or two anyways. The problem is we live in nostalgic times. So he was the last time we were relevant, and he's that old school mentality, 3 yards in a cloud of dust football player. That's not the NFL anymore. And so I don't think it really translated when he was here. And so I'm upset because, you know, I watched Gruden growing up and things like that. But at the same time, I realized he wasn't the coach for us going forward. And I got a lot of heat for that because I was like, he's going to be gone in a couple of years. His offense isn't translatable. You know, the old guru that he was 20 years ago. So don't live in the past. It's a new age of coaches. It's a different type of offense. It's a bigger, faster, stronger, less physical NFL. And he wasn't with the times. You know, you see coaches time after time come back and they don't do well at all. Hall of Fame caliber coaches, you know. So it's like, would you guys bring back Marty Schottenheimer if Andy Reid was there? No, like probably not.
I might, but I'm weird.
I wouldn't at that point. It's like, yeah, he was a good coach in the regular season, but when it comes to that, he couldn't do anything else. So it's like, well, would he translate? Probably not. So that's how I viewed Gruden, and I wasn't very happy with the hire. And I was pretty adamant about that. So yeah, I think it was wrongful termination. You know, they were looking for a reason to get him out of there, and they found it.
Josh, it's been a blast, man. Here's to 2 good games this year and a rivalry going forward. Let's make it one. Let's get it back going. Thank you so much, man. I had a blast.
You guys have a good time.
Training camp. Hey, there it is. I love it. I want a picture with it one of these days, man.
I'll be at the game.
I'll do it.
I'll let you know what tailgate I'm at. I'm going to figure it out, man.
Josh,
right,
appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate
Have a good one too.
Yeah, man.
Having a little fun here on Arrowhead Allies this week as we are pressing the reset button, getting the season started. Next week, you're going to have Merrill Hodge, former Pittsburgh Steelers running back, joining us. And we're going to get down to some serious football business. As it is, we're not even to August yet. Still having a little fun. We see the viral video that happened, and I'm on the minority. I love stuff like that. Glad it happens because when Patrick Mahomes gives you the death stare, as the character said in Dead Poet Society, you just signed your death warrant, Nawanda. And that's what I think our buddy Josh did for his Raiders. So thank you, Josh.
It was
the most
fun.
fun segment of the year so far.
He deserved the ribbing, and I'm sure he understood he was walking into the lion's den of Chiefs Kingdom, and we had to bring it to him. You know, he's good enough dude to do it, but I had to let him know. You know, there's some Chiefs fans out there that travel the country to do crazy things. Now I know people might be saying, "Hold on, Shaggy, are you saying this guy's going to be harmed in any way, shape, or form?" And I'm going to say no. I'm just saying there's some Chiefs fans out there that tend to take things a little further than they need to be. So I hope for his sake it doesn't happen. What do you think, Lance? Talk to me, brother.
Well, let me just say I'm really looking forward to Merrill Hodge next week. That's gonna be one hell of a guest. And no, I think that you're very much on the point there, Shaggy, because I think every fan base has them. Every fan base has them, except maybe Vikings fans, because that game in 2019 when Mahomes was hurt, and I was out there with all those fans in the Vikings game, I could not find one single a-hole. They were all the sweetest people on this planet, and it really made it hard for me to not like them. So they filled that crowd, but they were nice people. So that was an experience I'll never forget. But yeah, man, I definitely think that there's Chiefs fans out there that are willing to push the button. I think a couple of them might be on this very show right now. So yeah.
Not me. If you saw me with Jerry Rice, I'm not pushing any buttons.
No, you and Clint are all class. I will forever defend you, and I've defended you guys on our show. You guys are men of. You're an oak, like our guy Doc Holliday said in Tombstone. You, my friend, are an oak. Yeah, I don't know how you guys did it. We haven't talked about that. We haven't got a chance to talk about that on the show yet.
I don't know if we got the video uploaded, but we're just people that like to continue. We like to continue going back to events. We like to continue being invited to nice places, and we do this for a living. So we would hate for that to have to go back to work at the plastics factory. So the Jerry Rice incident explained. We asked Jerry Rice a very simple question. I approached Jerry Rice at the 17th hole and Lake Tahoe at the Edgewood. Asked him a very simple question about the Chiefs receiving corps. That's from our crumb bum receiving corps to a legend. I'm getting a legend's perspective. If I asked Steve Young, I'd ask him. I'd ask Joe Montana. I'd ask, it's weird. There's a lot of players that played in the NFL that played for a certain team. They're able to talk about other players from other teams. It's very strange. I guess Jerry's not one of those people. It got ugly. Jerry, obviously very intoxicated, very in the moment, very much bang, bang Niners gang. You go, Jerry. Your 3 Super Bowls, I guess, weren't enough. That you won and your legacy is the greatest of all time. You had to attack a random guy with a backwards hat on the golf course. And then poor Noah standing there innocently as a child. He is not even the one that had it. He was ready to go. He was ready to have my back. It's all good. It happened. We're past it. We would love to invite Jerry on this show at any time to give us that apology that we're still waiting for. Let's do it. Anytime.
I just never thought I would ever hear somebody call Clint an a-hole. That's the last thing I thought I'd ever hear.
I'm pretty proud of that.
Of all people, it's Jerry Rice. So
but what you guys did was professional. You were not going to put that out there until somebody filmed the whole thing, and I'm glad they did. They sent it to TMZ, then TMZ got a hold of it. And once TMZ got a hold of it, you felt, hey, we got to put this story out there because Jerry Rice is going after us. You weren't out there to make anybody, any musicians, actors, or athletes mad. You were just doing your job, asking questions like, hey, what do you think of this, that, and the other? Which showed in your interview with Marcus Allen, which showed in your interview with John Elway. But like I said, you weren't going to put this out there until it got onto TMZ. Isn't that correct, Noah?
Yeah, and really it comes down to Brian. Brian called me when he saw the news break and was surprised to see our faces on TMZ. And I was unsure about it. I was like, maybe we still stay away from it. And Brian's like, no, post that, dog. Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Brian's right.
Because that's the only thing that you had to kind of I guess tell your side of the story without you telling your side of the story, Yeah. And it's Jerry Rice.
And the story told itself.
So,
and for anyone out there,
I'm glad y'all came out of that unscathed.
Yeah.
Yes, he was pissed.
Yeah, I was reading mentions. They were all defending you guys. Like literally, everybody was defending you guys.
There was a few people saying we were trolling him. I'm sure it's Niners fans coming in because they're like, we got an autograph from him and he was super nice. I'm like, well, yeah, if you kiss the ring, he's going to be nice.
Hey, we should have had him kiss yours, Noah. Yours was under your shirt. You should have brought it out.
I know. I did. Then I would have got socked in the face.
My question for Noah is, did you know when Jerry Rice turned around why he was turning around? Because Clint asked the question, and then he turned around and looked at Clint and said, you're a effing a-hole. Then he walked away. Then in the TMZ video, he's like 50, 60 feet away, and he turns around and starts walking. Did you know when he was coming back for you that it wasn't going to be pleasant?
Yeah, that's why I was walking towards him and why he came at me, because I saw the unhappy look on his face, and I was like, well, let me just go explain that we didn't mean anything by it. He mistook the question, apparently. And so I went up there to kind of cool thing, but I couldn't do anything. His hat was touching my forehead right in my face. And he was not a happy camper, threatening me and saying he's going to F me up. And if you want some, come get some. And we weren't trying to troll. If we were, we would have posted the video immediately. We waited over 24 hours. We only posted it, like Brian said, because And Shane, the video got released on TMZ. The guy tried to sell it to us if we wanted to troll him and we were looking for clickbait. We would have bought the video from that guy. We didn't even entertain it. We said, we're not posting anything. We want to see it, but we're not willing to pay. We're not going to even post this. It would just be interesting to see from your point of view what you got. And we're like, if you want to sell it to somebody, be our guest. And he ended up selling it to TMZ, but in no way were we trolling.
No.
It was a simple question.
Yeah.
It would be one thing if you're like, hey, do you think that the Chiefs can beat your Niners for a third time in 6 years if their wide receiver room gets better? Jerry. That'd be one thing.
It was
We're
more
sitting
of a
here with a
respect.
simple question.
I asked him because he's the greatest.
If we
You
were
asked
going to
John
troll somebody,
You
it'd
asked
be
John
John.
Elway, what's it like handing the Chiefs the trophy, and he handled that with class. Like, if anybody should have got pissed, and John's like, yeah, that's cool, whatever, it sucks, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else is cool with y'all, man.
I need to go back and tell my 10-year-old self that here in about 30 years, you're going to be a fan of John Elway and hate Jerry Rice. Well, that's not real.
Like, I don't see how that's
I
possible.
don't hate him. I don't hate him. Hate's a strong word because it's
How did
roles
the powers
reversed.
how did the powers that be at Lake Tahoe handle that when they know, hey, we got an issue here between Jerry Rice and the media? I mean, did they come to you with an investigation? Was there anything going on there?
They were concerned. They were concerned, and they wanted to make sure we were okay, that we weren't going to, and we kind of alerted them, hey, we have some video. We're not going to post it. Just a heads up, if this gets out, there's some fans that have it. We can't do anything about that. If it gets sold to TMZ, if they post it, it's going to be out there. So I was like, just be on the lookout. And the next day there it was, and it was everywhere. But I think really after that, there was, Jerry doubled down. He said we were smirking and he's standing up for his Niners. I think that was a good time to diffuse the situation and just say, I don't know, these guys are who they were, what was going on, but he kind of doubled down. So we'll see next year, maybe we'll get another chance and at redemption. And that's what the off season's all about, is these kind of crazy events, Lake Tahoe. And then immediately a week later, training camp's underway and our Chiefs are back at it. And Pat, no, I know you have a graphic for this because we're talking about fun.
Oh,
Coach Herman Boone from Remember the Titans said, let me tell you about how much fun you're going to have. I think that we have some fun on the horizon for this team. Last year, Noah and Patrick had none.
No fun for me last year. Patrick said we really didn't play football the way we wanted to all year
Mm-hmm.
long. It wasn't fun every single week, just continuing to try and get better and better, and results not paying off the way you want it to. Wasn't a lot of fun, and we have a lot of those same guys back, and they know how that felt. So they're going to try and have some more fun this year. We've already seen it in training camp, going deep to Marquise Hollywood Brown, to Xavier Worthy, to Rashee Rice. And so it looks like they're going to open up the passing game, and that's a sight for sore eyes. I've missed it since Tyreek's been gone.
You want to hear that from Patrick Mahomes. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian, but
Go ahead, Shaggy.
I'm just going to say, you want to hear that from Patrick Mahomes, your leader, the first interview. That was the first day of training camp when Patrick Mahomes said that. You want to hear him lead, say, hey, we got to do better. Last year wasn't fun until the playoffs and the Super Bowl. We got to do better in the regular season because we made things harder on ourselves. That's what you want to hear your team captain say. Now go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
Well, I thought everybody was going to jump on me with this segment.
Well, we talked about it.
I just look at the end result. I've always been a big picture guy. And as long as we take care of what we need to take care of, this is me in life. This is Brian Brooks talking to you, not just Brian B. Shining, but this is how I am. As long as we get the job done and we win the Super Bowl or accomplish whatever goal it is we're trying to accomplish, as long as we get number one in the ratings or whatever with, my morning show, Hustle and Shine in the morning, just get it done, bro. I don't care what it is. It's going to be hard work. It's going to be a lot of attrition. It's going to be some good times, some happy times. Now, last year, yes, it was more bad times than good towards the end of the season. And we didn't know what the hell was going on or if this team could actually repeat. But they got it done. I guess I'm just blinded by the playoff run.
Yeah, which is understandable.
The playoff run really erased a lot of the bad karma or stank that was on this team the last several weeks of the season. And I look at that playoff run, and it is one of the most, I would say, dominating, because the way that the defense just smacked the Dolphins around, the way that they didn't really smack the Bills around, but they held them in check for the most part. And then just a dominating, suffocating performance against both the Niners and the Ravens. Look at all the touchdowns that people needed to have. It was trick plays, it was tip passes, this, that, and the third. So I guess I'm mesmerized by the playoff run and what they did when it really mattered instead of the regular season, because let's face it, man, a lot of these guys, especially the Chiefs, they've been winning a lot the past 5-6 years. They kind of take things lightly sometimes. You can see it. It's on the TV. So I wasn't really worried about, I guess, the bad times per se. But to you all's credit, I get it. I understand that last year was not the funnest. We won a Super Bowl.
We did. You're right about that.
Repeat.
Lance, I want you to talk about that, but then also transition us into Kingsley and Tooney left side.
Yeah, strong side. Strong side, as Remember Titans told us long time ago. Listen, Brian, we've had our jokes back and forth, but it is the truth. That was the most grueling season of any of the seasons the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl in. It was a different style, a different way. They got it done. You're right. Only averaging 24 points per game in the postseason, but it felt like you said, that erosion started to wear off a little bit, and primarily it's because the defense was so great, and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce got the go-to-goat connection, back in connection, and no one can stop them, and that's why they got the job done. When it comes to this offense now, we talked on our show last week about this, and I've been kind of sprinkling this into our show these last few weeks about how the narrative now is, well, the Chiefs are in just such a better place offensively this year because they have just so much speed. But see, I think what happened is when Tyreek Hill left, everybody thought that the speed was just gone. But we forget that Andy Reid and Brett Veach have a consistent style that they like to have with their skill position players. That's why Rashee Rice stands out so much, because he's 6'2", 200. He kind of breaks the mold of what the Chiefs like to utilize in their passing game in particular. And so I think that when Tyreek Hill left, because you just mentioned it, it hasn't really been the same since Tyreek's been gone. But as you guys remember, that very next season, even with the limited amount of guys they had with Juju and MVS and McCole Hardman and guys like that, they led the league in explosive plays, and they led the league in scoring, and Patrick Mahomes won MVP along with them winning the Super Bowl, and it was a completely different way of winning the Super Bowl. Why was it? It wasn't because there was a massive difference in speed, because they had burners. Sky Moore's a fast guy. They got Kadarius Toney midway through the season. They got MVS. He's one of the fastest dudes in the league. It was the fact that in 2023, the difference was they couldn't catch passes. Now, we all know that, but that's the difference. So I know that Xavier Worthy's exciting. He's this guy they trade up from the first round. Hollywood Brown's on this prove-it deal, and everybody knows this dude's got blazing speed, and he's this young dude that has played good seasons with mediocre quarterbacks. Can't imagine what he could do with Patrick Mahomes. It's all about whether these dudes are going to catch the ball or not. And that's what it comes down to. And I think that people feel more confident in the fact that they've been trimming some of that fat. MVS is gone. It looks like Kadarius Toney might be on his way out. Sky Moore's throwing interceptions on special teams. He may have been on his way out. There's a lot of clarity now as to who's going to be the guys at the top now. And I think that there's just more confidence there. And so, yes, the speed's going to be fun, but the speed honestly has always kind of been there. It's just that it was speed with hands, and I think that speed with hands is potentially there. So that's where I kind of want to leave that, as I think the speed is kind of the illusion of sorts as to what's been changed. I think that the hands is going to be what really makes the results, as to why I believe Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice are going to be the real guys that are going to be leading the way in this offense. But we can talk about that another time. When it comes to this offensive line, in particular on the left side of things, guys, I'm getting more and more excited about this. Obviously, we saw that Joe Tooney just got off the PUP list. He's back. We know that this dude is probably the best left guard in the league. We saw that last season, this man literally had a 99.9% win rate, which means that it was almost universally impossible to beat him last season before he tore his pec. This guy, now Nick Allegretti stepped up, did great, but Joe Tooney's the man, and I'm so glad he's back. I'm so glad he's getting back into shape. He is a magnificent piece to this team trying to three-peat. Now, what I want to tell you guys, though, is that I've been watching film very closely at training camp, and I know they've been giving Wanye Moore some opportunities over the left side, but you are seeing a significant difference just from an athletic standpoint at left tackle when Kingsley gets the snaps as opposed to Wanye. We had these reports about a few days ago that Wanye Morris got beat by FAU on a deep out, and then you saw Kingsley get beat by Mike Dana. The way I look at that is, my interpretation is, a rookie left tackle got beat by a seasoned veteran that's helped this team win multiple Super Bowls, while Wanye got beat by a guy that essentially redshirted last year. There are levels to this. So I'm not dissing Wanye. I'm contextualizing Kingsley Suamata'ia's value to this team and why I believe this dude, because I know there's now rumors and speculation with the Tristan Wirfs stuff going on in Tampa Bay about him not being able to get the contract. There's Chiefs fans out there saying the Chiefs need to go and try to trade for him. There's people talking about David Bakhtiari, who's 32 years old and has missed like 55 games over the last 3 years. There's people talking about these types of things. All the while, we have a guy from BYU that's going to be the left tackle for this team for the next 15 years. And it is Kingsley Suamataia. And he's going to be learning with Toonie. He's going to be learning from – no, you're good. But he's going to be learning from Andy Heck. He's going to be learning from Andy Reid. And he has got the best left guard next to him. And Creed Humphrey's about to get his extension as well. So his center's going nowhere. So I'm telling you guys right now, like, I hope you guys are as excited as I am. If you're not, you're going to be, because you're going to see a top 5 offensive line this season, and it's all going to start on the left side of that offensive line, and Kingsley's going to play a pivotal role in this offense. I promise you that. Mark this date now, and let's revisit this in January.
Oh, we'll revisit it in October. Hey, I want to say this from one of my followers, a Dangerous Dick Penix. He says, with the heavy rumors about Creed Humphrey about to get his extension, what does that mean for Trey Smith? Was it one or the other, or do you guys see them both?
Oh, it's tough. It's going to be tough. These are the situations that you have to look at and the decisions you got to make when you're the Chiefs and you're winning Super Bowls and you have high caliber players that are going to command a high price tag elsewhere. So, gosh, I'm just going to speak in circles and sit on the fence because I do not know. And I don't know even at this point, what I would want to have happen. You know, I hate offensive lines. So really this is, again, I would rather have the 24th best offensive line and top receiving core, but we'll revisit that. I'm going to try to get, you
never win, Dolphins.
Yeah.
What do you think, Noah? Do you think
from Patrick Mahomes instead of Tua?
So what do you think, Lance? You think they'll get them both, or you think one?
I'm glad you're asking
another person. Surely not.
I want to ask Brian too. Brian's got to. I know Brian's got to take on this, but real quick, I'll say this: there is something beautiful. You guys remember the early 2000s offensive line? What made that offensive line so great? Obviously, the individual talent was there, but it was the fact those guys all played 45, 46, 47 games in a row together. There was a unison there. There was a bond there. And now you're seeing Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey going into the later, like the veteran portions of their careers. They have never missed a game. They have played every single game together. I think now that they're both 24, 25 years old, the Chiefs see the value in protecting Patrick Mahomes with guys that have been there, that have helped this team win Super Bowls. It's not the sexy stuff, guys. I understand that. But this is the stuff that keeps Patrick Mahomes alive. It's what keeps him from playing only 11 years to playing 18 to 20. That's the kind of moves you have to make. Again, it's not fun because you might have to sacrifice having to pay a linebacker like a Nick Bolton, but those are replaceable assets because the Chiefs have won Super Bowls with Anthony Hitchens. And that's the way I look at it, is that you have to make tough decisions. And if tough decisions come – thank you. Super Bowl, I apologize. 2019.
We won one with Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, too.
I just had to intervene right there to slow you down a little bit because Anthony Hitchens does not have the best reputation with Chiefs.
That's my point, is that they won a Super Bowl with a mediocre linebacking core. They can do it again if they had to. That's my point. And so Nick Bolton, although we all love him, if it comes down to him or a Trey Smith, I think it's a no-brainer because you pay offense and you draft defense. And there's one thing we know about Brett Veach. This man can draft the hell out of some defense. So I think as long as Chris Jones is the man you build your defense around, you can replace linebackers. When it comes to this offensive line, you want to keep the man that's in the backfield that's worth $500 million. You want to keep him as protected as possible. And Trey Smith has started since day one and has been one of the best right guards in the league and has been right next to Creed Humphrey the entire time. I don't see why you break that up, even if it costs you a little bit of money, because it's worth it to do so when they are at the ages they're at, when they have the health that they have, when they have the unison, the chemistry they have. It makes no sense to break that up.
Amen, buddy.
It's going to be tough. We're already paying one.
Brian, one quick thing.
We're already paying two.
Right, but Juwan Taylor's guaranteed money comes off the books after 2025.
More line.
Then you have a rookie. You have a rookie on the left tackle.
Not happening.
You have Joe Tooney's money coming off the books in 2025. You have all the cap spaces going up every single year. The Chiefs are going to have money to spend because they have a cheap defense. They have a lot of money they're going to be able to spend, guys. I know that when we think about Creed Humphrey getting money, it's going to be $15 to $16 million. But with that said, it isn't like the Chiefs are broke. They still have money they can spend this one because, as we're talking about, they're not spending at wide receiver right now. They're not spending at cornerback. They're not spending at linebacker. They're not spending at safety. They're not spending anywhere. So they can afford to pay Trey Smith alongside Creed Humphrey and still have money to go and fill those spots. Because, like I said, Juwan Taylor's contract of guaranteed money comes up after the third season. So Trey Smith's guarantee money would hit simultaneously when Juwan's doesn't. So they have a plan in place, guys. I truly believe that.
My one thing on this, and I'll leave it at this and we'll move on, is just even though Kingsley may win the job, that doesn't mean he's going to be good. Barry Richardson won the job as right tackle in 2010, and we move on. Okay.
Well, Barry Richardson didn't hop out of a pool.
Thank you,
Brian.
Man, that's right. That's facts. Facts. I don't see that anywhere on YouTube.
Oh,
we're talking about receivers now?
That's not
receivers.
Clint, I had a different topic. But because we talked about offensive line, I had to switch and skip that topic to give you receivers.
I am awake and listening. Thank you. Wow. Noah, and you did a great job. You listed the top 10 receivers on this team, and I thought it was great. You know what was most heartfelt about it, guys? Noah, in his infinite wisdom, and he has the biggest heart of anyone I know. He listed Sky Moore in the top 10, or not in the top 10, but as an honorable mention in that top 10. Sky Moore was listed as an honorable mention, former second-round pick out of Western Michigan, listed as honorable mention in Noah Groniger's top 10 receivers on the Chiefs roster. And I just want to say that is very nice of you to do that. Sky should be notified of this. He made honorable mention on the Chiefs top 10. Montreal Washington in Sky Moore.
Yeah, Montreal Washington beat him out. He's had a good camp. I got to give it to Montreal. He's out there diving for balls. When have we seen that? And I did have Kadarius Toney ahead of McCole Hardman, so I'm sorry, Lance.
Kadarius,
RB, a running back,
RB2, baby,
yeah,
RB2, Kadarius. I'm with it.
I'm with it.
Well,
yeah,
he's a weapon.
They talked about today. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was dealing with a post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know from what.
Clint loves this topic.
So keep our prayers with Clyde because we don't know what specifically he has PTSD about.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was something in his family, something that happened at LSU, something that happened with Chiefs. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire was missing practice with PTSD. So,
there's a joke there, but I'm not going to make it.
I thought it was
I have a PTSD from having drafted him. Well, there, I'll say it.
Well, I think with the way NFL's being cautious about concussions and head injuries, I mean, it's something that we should have to look into. How did he get PTSD?
Yeah, something to speculate on.
Yeah, but anyway, if Kadarius Toney could be number 2, like Brian says, then that'll be something to watch in preseason.
I don't know who else is going to be number 2. So
here's the thing, guys. This is where the Chiefs have screwed themselves. But we're getting to a point now where we're talking about a guy that's probably the most injury-prone player on this roster, playing a position that gets beat up more than any other position on the football field. The reason why the Chiefs are doing what they're doing with Kadarius Toney is to try to up the value and see if anybody would bite and get anything out of a trade, because that's what they're trying to do here. Because if they trade Kadarius Toney, they don't have to pay any of his dead money. If they cut him, they don't lose any money. It's an even wash. So they're looking for options here because they know this guy is not a long-term answer in Kansas City. It's failed. And so they're trying anything they can.
I think he makes the roster.
You really think he does?
Yeah.
Oh.
All they do is come out and say he's the most talented receiver in the group. That's all they do.
He's the number 1 receiver in 2023 and out in 2024.
And that's my point, is I think they're trying to up the value, trying to get other teams to listen and say, hey, they still like him. Maybe we can give him a conditional 6 in 2025. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think that the Chiefs are playing the game here because I don't actually believe they believe what they're saying about Kadarius Toney anymore.
But I don't know if general managers around the league are like, hey, we've got all this tape and film of him playing, but Andy Reid and Brett Veach said he's the most talented. He sucks on film, but here's a 6.
Here's a 6. That's the kind of position the Chiefs have put themselves in with Kadarius Toney, man. But yeah, to believe that he could play an effective role at running back when he is he's getting hurt in punt returns and in practice. Like, imagine this dude trying to run through the B gap, getting hit by dudes that are 327 pounds.
Okay, so see, now that's where I need to intervene. And I was going to say that they're not going to have him running up the middle. They're not going to have him running by Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey. He's going to be doing gadget plays, outside plays, tosses, sweeps, just the most simple, basic football thing that you could do with him. Tossing the ball, handing the ball.
Exactly. What was the point of bringing McCole back?
Get him the ball in space.
But that was when McCole Hardman in 2022 led the team in red zone touchdowns before he got hurt because he was doing those things. I think McCole Hardman's better at those things than Kadarius Toney.
Absolutely.
Well, so if you're keeping McCole, then I just kind of feel like that you got 2 guys doing the same thing. It just, I don't know if like you keep Kadarius for that reason. I feel like if you're going to keep Kadarius Toney, it's for a particular reason other than gadgety stuff, because he was brought in here to be an actual weapon, like a guy that you could rely on in the pass game. And if he ain't going to be that, then I kind of feel like you got to part ways with him. Don't you agree?
Other than catching the football, what doesn't Kadarius Toney do well?
He's a good rapper.
Just has that little
Well,
thing.
He's good at blaming AI.
I think ultimately the thing with Kadarius is that I think the Instagram post is I think that's
which one?
I don't think he cares about football enough.
The one Sunday morning of the AFC Championship game in Baltimore, I think that's what Brian's referring.
There's been many, so
he straight up called the team a liar.
Whichever one, but yeah, exactly. Like so, look, man, they take this stuff. They know it. They know what they have. Private investigators on guys. A lot of times, they know everything and what's going on, and I don't see him being here long term. I would like for them to squeeze as much juice as they can out of him because it ain't working at receiver. So running back is the next best option for him. And whether that's a show tape to the 31 other teams and try and get him, I don't know. But I do think that they keep those things in the back of their mind. Veach and Andy Reid and those guys, like, yeah, man, this guy, he's bad for the locker room, bad for the brand. And now it's different when you talk about the brand now. you know, that's a whole nother different story. But I think that's where it goes with Kadarius.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, we've got Xavier worthy of concern. He's had a hamstring. He's got strep throat out here. We've got Lewis Rugby Zammit. He doesn't look like he's going to make the roster to me from what I've seen. He looks slow, unsure of himself, getting through a hole, holding onto the football the correct way. He's holding it like a rugby ball.
How about pass blocking? That's been the real eye-opener.
Yeah, I would never put him on third down.
We call that pass blocking?
Right.
Pass protection, nah.
It shows and love to rugby players. Like, there are some phenomenal athletes.
Yeah.
But the NFL is just a different beast. If you have to have a supreme set of technique along with your physical gifts that you have. Yep. And those things had to be taught. And he's been overseas in Europe. And I was really interested in him, which is why I'm passionate about this subject, because I really wanted to see what he could do with the ball in his hands. But with the videos that you've been seeing from Starcade Media that you could check out on the Starcade Instagram or anywhere Starcade is at on Facebook, you're right. Everything you said, Noah, he looked really slower. He looked slower than what I thought he was when he didn't have pads on. Right. And I think that's probably the thing that might be the biggest challenge for him, is trying to adjust and play American football with American football pads. Because when you throw on pads, it's totally different, bro.
And if he's ever going to go out for a swing pass and try and look over his pad and through his helmet and turn his head around to locate the football and catch it, I feel like that's going to be a struggle. Even running a basic route is going to be a struggle. I just don't see how he can make this roster.
His technique it's not all the way there yet. He's still very, very raw. Not saying that he can't be a successful NFL player one day. It's a little early, I think, this year.
I just hope they don't keep a roster spot. They give a roster spot to a guy just because of the new kickoff rule. If that's the case and we miss a lineman or a wide receiver or any important position, but they need to keep somebody just because this new rule, then I'm going to be really disappointed. And I think I speak for the majority of Chiefs Kingdom when I say that. Wouldn't that suck if they had to release Remigio or somebody freaking really good just because they had to keep Zammit for the new kickoff rule? Are you guys
more for the new kickoff rule? He's already throwing reverses out here on the kickoffs, and whether they get caught by the proper team is another question, or he throws interceptions. But hey, that's besides the point. We got Sky out there. He's done it before.
You're right. I don't think it's gonna be that dramatic when it comes to who they would pick between him and the 53rd player. I think it'd be some guy that is just a fringe dude, a backup to the backup linebacker type of guy. So to make that point clear, though, Shane, I do agree with you, because the fact that I feel like we talked about it either on this show or I've said it on other shows, on my show in particular, when we said that if LRZ just makes this roster and is the guy that plays special teams, he is a success to his own ability, because the fact that Brian just alluded to, which is 100% true. It's a different beast that he's taking on. There are guys that spend their entire lives from 3 to 5 years old in Pop Warner and all those places to 18 to 20 years old playing this game, and they never make it, and they have talent beyond belief. So it's really difficult to expect this guy to come into this game and just pick it up and be able to do pass protection against guys that have been playing this game for 18 years. It's hard to do that. That's why I never really bought into this hype. But if he does make this team, and it's a big if, it's going to be because of special teams, because he can go out there and make a big tackle, or he fills in for Harrison Butker to make these kickoffs on the new rules, because you want to keep Harrison Butker fresh. Because as we've seen, Harrison Butker missed some significant time in 2022 because he slipped on a kickoff. If they're trying to avoid that risk, maybe for whatever reason, you enter him. I know Justin Reed can do it, but Justin Reed's on a contract year. Does Justin Reed want to risk injury himself?
And is hurt.
And is hurt already. So exactly. So there's a lot of things to consider. Maybe LRC does have some relevance on this team, but if he does, it's only going to be there because I think he's proving, unfortunately, and we're not here to hound on the guy. We all root for the kid. I think he's proving that he's nowhere near ready to play any other role other than special teams.
100%. And we move on to Colin Cowherd making an ass of himself as usual. Talking about a redraft of the NFL. If we're redrafting the entire league, you get your choice of any player. If you redrafted every guy in this league today, it would be number 1 Mahomes and number 2 Allen. All right, everything's good there. But unfortunately for Colin, he continues on and says, and the only reason Mahomes would be drafted over Allen, if you redrafted, there'd be pressure to take him because he's got all the trophies and Allen doesn't. Well, it's not just like he happened to get them. They just fell into his lap. It's the answers that he has that got him those trophies and why he's number 1. So, anyone else the great Colin Cowherd? If Mahomes didn't have all these trophies, I'd go with Josh Allen.
Well, that's cute, as Brian B. Shinen would say.
It's a bad look for the national media, especially with Colin being the sports juggernaut that he is, because I think what it does is it leads this belief that because Patrick Mahomes inherited such a great situation, that therefore that's the reason he has these rings. So if we're going to do that, though, and I brought this up before, if we're going to do that, you have to do that across the board, because I'm pretty sure Tom Brady inherited one hell of a situation up there in New England. And I think that that's another reason why we have to sit here and be fair and balanced with what we say and who we give the credit to, because obviously Andy Reid was on his way to being a Hall of Fame head coach, but that man had a losing playoff record before Patrick Mahomes ever stepped on the field. Now he has, I believe, 10, 12 games above 500 in his playoff career and has 3 rings to his 0 before Patrick got here. So let's be real. The guy that actually has the pen when they're writing the history of the Chiefs is in number 15's hands, and we have to be very careful. Josh Allen, I think, is the second best quarterback in the league right now, based on just talent, how good he actually is in the postseason. People got to give him credit. He performs at a very high level in the postseason. But I think that when it comes to the comparison between the two, the gap between Patrick Mahomes and number 2 Josh Allen is the same at number 2 Josh Allen to number 9 Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love or Justin Herbert, whoever you have at that. That's the kind of gap that Patrick has created between him and everybody else. And it's not even a diss to those guys. It's just what Patrick has done since day one. And the fact that, and I talked about this today on Twitter, that if you really think about it, guys, outside of a few mistakes the Chiefs have made, the Chiefs should have 6 Super Bowls in a row. Like, it's a legitimate thing. Like, they've won 3 of 6, but all 3 of the other times they didn't win, it was because something they did or did not do correctly. That is the scary thing about what Patrick Mahomes is to this league. We've never seen anything or anyone like him. So it's really disrespectful to the legacy he's creating and continues to create when we sit here and say, well, it's only because of the accolades that he's above Josh Allen. Josh Allen's had the opportunity to get the accolades just like Patrick Mahomes, homie, and he didn't get them. So that's why you have to give Patrick Mahomes the credit, and you have to do it with a humility, not sitting here saying, well, only if and this and that, but you just got to give it to him and just move on.
Yeah, it's weird. Josh Allen's had a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense twice in his career, at least twice that I off the top of my head to get this done. So yeah, we can look at these things. And Lance, when you bring that up, that goes down the board. I love whenever people try to make these outlandish connecting dots from the past. In this situation, it's all situational because you can do that for anything in any situation. And you made a good comparison there with Tom Brady, and I think that's exactly what we're going to do here. And the chips fall where they may. You got to make it happen. You got to go do it. Joe Burrow fell into a bad situation, and he's made his way to the top of the league by going to a Bengals team that had no offensive line.
Right.
It's still no good, by the way, guys. 4 years later, I'm just bringing that up.
15 games.
Yeah. Well, might have me there. You got me. I see what you did there. Well, guys, this has been a blast. We're going to move on to next week when Merle Hodge joins us. It's going to be a blast. We got training camp in full effect. Noah, this has been a great
NFL matchup next week.
Yes, there's an NFL. We're going to start playing NFL football games. Never been a big fan of the Hall of Fame game. I'm like, my brain's not quite ready yet, but they're going to kick it off and play some football.
Whether you like it or not, Clint. I'm sorry.
I watch it. Yeah. But until then, unless there is anything else, anything pressing that needs to come across my desk before I sign this off, we're going to be
I don't
thinking
think
about
so. We are desperately out of time. Go
Go
Chiefs!
Chiefs!